No, I'll wear them.
All right, Patrick.
Okay,
can you kind of inform the public on the concern that they should not be concerned about the bacteria in the water? Or?
Yeah, sure. So we understand, there's been these two events of this bacteria in Galveston and Port Aransas affecting people negatively. And I think what we want down here on South Padre Island for folks to understand is that our water is very clean. We boast some of the cleanest water in the state. The Texas Beach Watch posts basically daily updates of bacterial counts as a general idea for how clean the water is, and we're always right up there with the best of them. We've got no indication that this particular Vibrio bacteria is anywhere in the area. And in fact, even statewide, speaking almost in support of Port A and Galveston, it turns out a majority of the cases in recent history in Texas of this bacteria have actually come from folks eating raw seafood than actual exposure to water. So it's a question of whether or not the ocean is even truly the thing to blame here. But as far as South Padre Island goes, our water, our currents come from the south, which is the opposite direction of where these cases are coming from. They're crystal clear. I went for a swim last night and it was glorious. It's perfectly safe. I've had folks calling, obviously concerned about young ones, the elderly, family members getting in the water, and all I can say is that it's safe. Y'all come on in. It's great, and yeah, as far as we know, there's absolutely no danger whatsoever associated with any of this bacteria business.
Does the warmness of the water have anything?
Well, the temperature of the water does affect it. Now, scientifically speaking, the bacteria appears to like warm water, but the bacteria also likes a few other environmental conditions. It tends to stick to estuarine environments, so places where rivers, for example, meet the sea, which here in the lower Laguna Madre, we actually don't have that much of. We have smaller arroyos and creeks, not like further up the coast in Galveston, Trinity Bays, Corpus Christi Bays, where we've seen some of these cases pop up. And this is partially because this bacteria tends to like murky water, murky, brackish water that you find in these estuaries, places with lots of shellfish reefs, and these are just environments that we simply don't have down here. We have fairly clear water. We don't have a lot of fresh water coming into our bay. In fact, Laguna Madre is one of, I believe it's 6 hypersaline lagoons in the world, which means it's actually saltier than the ocean itself. So, like I said earlier, there's a whole host of reasons for why this really isn't something that we're terribly worried about, to be honest with you.
Do you have any ideas why maybe the news organizations got it wrong?
Well, I think that it's a combination of things. I know of one news report in particular that we got in touch with already, and they mistook South Padre Island for North Padre Island, which is, of course, much closer to Port Aransas than we are. I think most folks don't realize that Padre Island itself, Mansfield Channel not included, is 100 miles long or so. It's quite a big island. So on a headline, if you see Padre Island and bacteria, people might associate us with it, even though that's not really correct. As far as people reporting bacteria being in the water in South Padre Island, all that I can say to that is that the state monitors general bacteria counts, and I believe it's fecal coliform that they measure as a proxy for water quality. They do not measure these Vibrio bacteria because it's a living organism. There's tons of living organisms in the ocean water, and the notion of measuring every single one of them is for one just terribly costly, and the state just wouldn't be able to support it. But what we can say is that the conditions naturally here are not right for it to do very well in its habitat, and we've had no reports, no indications of anybody getting this sickness, and so we don't expect to hear from anybody about this. And like I said again, we're quite confident we're in a good spot here.
And lastly, have you done any testing, or has any agency tested?
For Vibrio?
Yeah.
No, and I've actually spoken with some researchers down at the University of Texas Rio Grande Valley Coastal Science, I believe it's Coastal Science Lab down here at Isla Blanca State Park, and they are the ones who actually told me that to test for something like Vibrio would almost be an exercise in futility, in that, again, there's so many living organisms in the ocean that to pull up a drop of ocean water and try and count bacteria and get an accurate picture of what's really in the water would be really an exercise in futility. But that they followed that up with saying, again, we have very clean water down here. Just like the Beach Watch publishes with the other bacteria counts, we're very, very low in our bacteria counts. It's clean, it's clear, it's beautiful, and it's a wonderful place to go for a swim.